All right, welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday. I'm joined by John Hoopengarner. John from Colorado. Welcome.
How's it going?
Awesome. John, this deal that we're going to dive into here is what? Your first or your second?
This deal would be my fourth.
Fourth deal taken.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's do this. I'm going to call up the deal structure sheet so they can follow us here. And then we'll dive into not just the numbers, but the nuances and kind of some backstory here for everyone. All right. Can you see it? And make sure. All right, good deal. All right, so let's do first of all the deal type. Is this a sandwich, owner financing? What is it?
Sandwich.
Okay, sandwich. Let me get my pen going here. Sandwich lease. Okay, good. Source of this one was
Expired. VA. Yeah. VA got this one.
A VA. Okay, so for those of you that might be new to the deal structure, because what we make the mistake of doing is we all just talk the way we talk in our Wicked Smart community, and then we forget that some of you are new. So VA is a virtual assistant. You don't have to use one. When someone says to me, what's the idea? What should I do for my business? I'm going to always tell you, get a virtual assistant, get them calling first. So you get more of the cream that from the calls that say, yeah, I'm open, or yeah, I have someone call me. So virtual assistant, expired listing. Do we know how long it was on the market?
Oh yeah, he put it on, I think it was last December, beginning of last December. So December. Almost 6 months.
Okay, 6 months ish. All right. And what was their motivation, John? Do you remember?
Yeah, so this was an investment property for them. They used it mostly as Airbnb. That is a nice thing about it. You can do short-term rentals. They were just tired of doing it, to be honest. They've got another home and they're looking to do other things. So they're just ready to be done with it.
What's interesting is, I always say this, whether someone's a realtor or they're doing short-term rentals like this, is if they knew how to do this, they'd do the very thing we're about to outline, right? And they'd capture all the profit themselves. Okay, so the term on this you structure with them for the sandwich lease is how long?
For this one, we did 48 months.
48. And let me just mention this for a teaser for everybody. So John said, oh, the good news is it also has some short-term rental history, and we could do that with its location. Okay, so if John gets to the year 2 or 3, could he maybe perhaps turn this into a sub 2 where he owns it and then has a backup plan always to rent it? Yeah, sure. Like there's all different options. We're just going to outline today what this deal looks like as proposed here. What's the debt on the property?
The debt we have, hold on here.
Like 295.
Yeah, 295, 606.
295, 606. Just as a reminder, again, if you're a new Wicked Smart viewer here on the channel, and be sure to subscribe so you catch all these. But what we try to do in a sandwich lease is we might use the price or the past price for like a gauge, but we don't talk price in the agreement. The agreement basically says we're going to pay off the debt, whatever the amount is at the time of cash out, because it's going to be lower than 295, and we're going to give you any promised cash. Did we promise them any equity, any cash?
Yeah, 211, 394.
Ooh, they had they had a lot of equity. 211, 394. Okay, great. So curious, what were they on the market for when they were expired, John?
They had it on the market for, hold on, just pulling it up here.
That comes to like 405 right there ish.
They had it at 555 to start, then they lowered it all the way down to 499.
Wow.
They came back up to 545 and then they pulled it.
Okay, so was the conversation that you had with them anything to do with, hey, what did you think you were going to net? Or, hey, after you paid the realtor, did any of that come in the conversation? Or how did you get to this number? Do you remember?
Yeah, so this one, they were with a realtor. I did go the route of, hey, what are you hoping to net?
Yeah.
So I think, let me just pull up my notes here.
Because you're getting them to 11. I would suspect they didn't get it. So I would suspect they weren't going to get that much.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't really have to, get him to come all the way down to 507. He just put that out there, 507, and I
Calculated
kind of
backwards.
looked at it and I thought, okay, that number kind of that makes sense. I don't know if I want to fight him on that. I may just give him that if he's going to give me a longer term.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the thinking. Talking to Brian, so just give him that. If we're going to go
Yeah.
40 months.
Well, and when you get to the end here and they see the 3 paydays, I won't give it away here, but you'll see why John's like, okay, there's no reason to be greedy. If everyone goes into the deal happy, win-win, then the deal's gonna live a lot better.
Mhm.
And by the way, John mentioned Brian. Brian coaches the high 6 with me. I should have said that John's in high 6, which is the highest coaching level. There's a private club above that, but that's the highest associate level. And he gets to access to the whole family and all the coaches technically, because the coaches work as a team, but Brian and I primarily run the high 6. Okay, so the sold price on this one is proposed at what?
So what I'm going to market for?
Yeah.
557.7.
And this is, just for disclosure for the viewers, this is literally just going to market now, correct? This is not done.
Yeah, you know what? Sorry, that was my initial price. So after talking to Nick, we're doing 549.9.
Oh, Nick went down. That's unlike Nick. So 5499.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a first. So Nick is my son, Nick, for the viewers, and Nick is his lane, his zone of genius is the buyer side. So any associates get deals, they're typically going to work with Nick in addition to their coach. They're going to work with Nick because he just has it down pat, like cold. Okay, so this is all proposed until John pops it with Nick. So deposit from the buyer. What are we going with for proposed?
I was going conservative, so I put 3%.
3% to get in the door.
To get in the door, yeah. So
About 16K.
Yeah, about 16K. And then yeah, the rest was the 7% to get to that 10%.
And what's the 7% come to?
So 7% is 9.07.
And we
It
can
was roughly 38,000.
grand.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me explain to people. So if the job, the longevity, the background check, all that works out, the conversation that John and Nick would have with his buyer, if they can't come up with more right away, is it got to have at least 3% to get in the door with a definitive plan to come up with the balance of that 10% over the term. It could be from tax refunds, retroactive pay, bonuses, doesn't matter. A 401k, people have done all kinds of different things, sell off something. So that one comes to 4854 or so.
Yes.
Okay, around 54K. Now, could John, in theory, instead of getting 16 up front at this buyer signing and then over time, could he, in theory, have someone come in the door, love it, have some competition, and plop down 10% to take it off their market? Yeah, people do that. Hey, what's it take? I love the house. I don't want anyone else to get it. What's it take? That's the opposite end of what we just outlined. So we're giving you a conservative. Okay, so monthly payment, John, on the, looks like the 295 is how much?
The monthly payment from the seller is to seller, sorry, 2,600.
2,600. And again, for the viewer, we're gonna pay, is this PITI, by the way?
Yes.
Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. For the viewers, we're gonna pay that direct to the bank always. People ask us this question all the time. Always, very few exceptions. We've done a few. We're in one right now that we own sub 2 that to this day, he didn't want to share his portal because he has all his personal accounts on it. So we do a deal with him where we send it through his account, he pays it, but we're in sync, like we have the receipts and everything. But that's an exception. Usually it's you pay directly, and your script to the seller is real simple. They'll say, well, I want to pay it myself. I say, well, look, I can't put my buyer at risk trying to chase around 50 property owners that we have saying, did they pay their mortgage on time? When I get a buyer in the house, I'm morally and ethically and legally bound. So that's why we pay direct. Cash from the buyer, what did you, Nick, come up with monthly?
Cash from the buyer, I'm actually doing a price drop today. We've only had it on for about 2 weeks, but we're getting aggressive. I think we're about 2,800 from the buyer now. Originally it was higher. We had it at like 3,000, but we're dropping it to let's just make it 2850.
2850. So that's gonna give you $250. And what's the math on that?
What is that? 250 times 48.
17-ish,
It's 12,000.
12, around
Mhm.
12K. Okay, just being general, guys, so you get the sense of what we're doing here. Okay, did you make this deal contingent upon a buyer, John? I didn't ask you that.
Yes.
Okay.
I got for this one I got 180 days.
Okay, that's awesome. 6 months is
Yeah.
awesome. In fact, if you can't do it in 6 months with Nick's aggressive plan, you and I both know why do it, right?
Yeah.
So I tell sellers 5 to 120 days, what it's going to take. Some would pop right away as your buyer's list gets bigger, and some take 4 months. And if it's longer than that, you probably don't want it. Okay, so the price premium, if you did the math there, I could do it rough, but do you have it?
Price print was at 549.9.
Minus like
507. What we got here? 42.9.
yeah, 42K. On that 2,600 per month principal, what is the pay down of PITI rather? What's the principal pay down roughly?
It's going to be 27, about 27,000, 27.8.
27.8.
Yeah.
And just again, for clarification, John used like what today's statement would say for principal pay down. We don't sit there and try to calculate every month that goes up ever so slightly, and it's even bigger than this, but just ballpark 27 grand. So how we calculate payday 3, for just a summary for everyone, is we take the price premium because we added the 42K. We take all of the principal pay down because that accrues to us. Remember, we're saying to the seller, we're giving you 211,394, plus we're paying off the loans, but it's gonna be less by 27.8. But we got to give them credit for the deposit above of 54 grand. So what is left for payday 3 after we do that?
Payday 3, what do we got? 42 minus 27.8. What are we doing here? Sorry, I did that wrong. 42,000.
69 minus
Plus-
54, basically. So it's like 15-ish. Am I right? Yeah.
15.
15-ish.
Mhm.
About 15K. All right. So here's what we got, guys. Generally speaking, we got payday 1 here of 54, again, proposed. We got payday 2 of 12. And we got payday 2 of 15. So 27 and 54 is what? 81-ish?
Yep.
All right. 81-ish. Okay, this is why John referenced earlier saying, I wasn't going to argue the guy or try to beat him up. It's 81 grand. And this is over a 4-year period. Could this deal get cashed out in 2 years and these paydays be a little smaller? Yes. Could the deal get extended, as I alluded to earlier? John goes back and do what we call wealth stacking, where you call the owner and you might work out a deal on the remaining 211. You might get an extension. You might end up buying it sub 2. All kinds of things that could happen. This is just the base deal. John, any other nuances that we didn't, because all I hit was why they were selling, any other nuances that came about during this, or any lessons that you learned working with Nick or working with anyone on the team?
Oh, first off, total profit would be over 83. We're missing the first month's rent there.
All right. Okay, so that's good. This is good to bring up. So, okay. Good save. I didn't ask you that. So way up here, when John got the down payment, the payday 1, what we didn't explain is it built into the agreement, and we almost always make it work, is our payment on this underlying debt of 2,600 is not due till 30 days after occupancy, because mortgages are paid in arrears. So example, if John's buyer starts occupancy August 1, he'll make the first payment September 1. But he collected the first month's rent from the buyer of 2,850, right, John?
Yep, correct.
The plus first month rent, that 2,850 goes right in John's pocket. We started this about a year into doing creative financing. It was suggested by a friend. I can't tell you, we thought it up. And ever since then, the students collect an extra month. It goes right in their bank account. That does not get credit to principal, does not get credit to anything, because the buyer's paying a lease. So nice extra 2,850. Nice.
Yeah, there is a little nuance here. I just remembered. So when I was talking to the seller, he liked everything about, what I was saying and the lease purchase. And when we talked about the marketing period, when I'm talking to sellers, I go straight for the 180 day. That's like my standard now. And I just go from there. And he was thinking, oh, okay, that's a little long. I was like, well, it could be a lot shorter. I mean, but we just, I add that in there so we don't have to come back to the table and renegotiate.
Good script.
And he said, okay, so then I get the principal pay down on that, right? And I said, well, actually, no, you don't. And that was kind of a, a rookie mistake for me. I wasn't really thinking about, hey, anything's possible. This is creative financing. We can absolutely give them some of the principal. But in my head, I'm thinking, well, no, we keep that. And then I said, let me talk to my partner. So I talked to Brian. He's like, yeah, absolutely. If it goes, 4 months, just give him that principal pay down. I mean, you don't want to lose this deal. And so that's what I said. I said, you can keep during the marketing period I'm talking about before we
Yes.
find a buyer. If it takes 5-6 months, we'll go back and we'll adjust the price and give you that principal pay down. And that's
So
what,
this equity right here, the 211 would
Yeah.
probably grow by whatever the monthly is, 2, 3, 4 months.
yeah, that
Yeah.
5-8. Yep. And so that pretty much sealed the deal. When I called him back, I said, yeah, we'll give you that.
Okay, so this is good, John, because I would say 9 out of 10 sellers don't catch that. It's built into the agreement that John gets the agreement signed, and that 211 394 is locked. He or she was smart enough to ask that, and so in that case, you could give them half, give them all, and it's fine to give them all, especially when you're trying to get your deals rolling. Yeah, no, good move.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else? Because those are two key things that I didn't think of.
No, there wasn't really any other uh, different situations than the other 3 deals. It was pretty
Like standard layout, except
yeah,
for
standard. Yeah. That
okay.
was the only thing that was new to me was the, going back and giving them the principal. So
Love it. John, just so they have a little context, I'll take this off the screen. Share with these guys, just take a minute, your background, and why you saw your path, how and why you saw the path to the Smart Real Estate Coach.
yeah, so I come from the aerospace industry. I'm here in Denver. I've been working with engineering, software development for, gosh, about 15 years now. I've always been interested in real estate. My dad has a bunch of rental properties. He's retired now, and he actually did a seller financing about 2 years ago. This is before I joined Smart
Oh,
Real
really?
Estate Coach.
I didn't hear this.
Yeah, and he's doing it on a second one now. Now he knows that I'm doing this, but now I'm looking back, I'm like, oh man, I didn't even realize that. But then I think it was last summer. My sister-in-law is in real estate as well, and it's just something I've always wanted to do. And I heard a podcast where I forget which one it was, but they were interviewing a guy named Brian O'Neill, and I thought, man, God, that guy is. I need to find out more about this guy, and I listen to his podcast, and that's how I came across this community. So yeah, I'm pretty new. I started it'll be a year this August. So
That's awesome. Let's give Brian a plug. So Brian's podcast is W2 Prison Break for you viewers. That's a writer down, a W2 Prison Break. Brian was 17 years in the elevator business, corporate, flying every other week, missing his son, joined the community. And I don't remember the exact months. Maybe it was 9 months. I think it was really short where he escaped his job and now he has a podcast, or that's what he talks about. So if that gets you going and you're watching this, jump over there, subscribe to his podcast too, not just ours. Ours is Smart Real Estate Coach podcast.com. John, super appreciate you. These guys can meet you in person at the next event. And depending on when they see this, we run a QLSlive.com event in September and WickedSmartSummit.com event in March. So depending when you're seeing this, get on and get your butt to these events and you can meet Brian and meet John. And appreciate you, John. Congrats. I look forward to this one getting sold. And we'll do a follow-up and hopefully it'll be at the event so we can do it live.
Yeah, we're getting lots of inquiries. Got 8 people to call back today. So yeah.
Nice. You'll be on the phones before the holiday. Love it. All right, buddy. Thanks for being on. And for the Wicked Smart listeners and viewers, we will see you at the next event. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/events.